You know that feeling, right? When a piece of music with absolutely no words just hits you with this wave of emotion. It could be pure joy or this deep, gut-wrenching sadness, maybe even anger. It's something we all experience. But how? How does that even work? It kind of feels like magic, but believe it or not, there's a fascinating science behind it. And we're going to break it all down. So for this explainer, we're diving deep into the work of Dr. Patrick N. Jesslin. He wrote this really influential paper back in 2013 that tackled this exact question. So yeah, we're going straight to the source here to really get a handle on the science behind music's incredible emotional punch. Right, so this is the big mystery, isn't it? How can simple vibrations in the air, literally that's all music is, carry such specific emotional weight? Like how can a melody feel angry or totally joyful? It seems impossible, but like I said, it's not magic, it's actually a code. And that's the key right there. The answer is this hidden code. According to Dr. Judlin's research, it's a system with 3 distinct layers of meaning, a system our brains are just naturally wired to understand. And today, you and I, we're going to crack it. All right, so where do we start? Well, the very first clue to cracking this code is actually pretty surprising. It turns out it doesn't really matter where you're from or even what your taste in music is. We humans, we tend to hear the same basic emotions in the same pieces of music. Now, I know what you're thinking, but music is so personal. My favorite song means something totally different to me than it does to you. And you're right, it is. But the research is clear. When we're talking about a core set of basic emotions, there's this incredible consistency, even across different cultures. It's real. We're not just making it all up in our heads. And here's the proof. Check this out. This table shows data from a few different studies where they basically just asked people, what emotions can music express? And even though these were different studies with different people, look what keeps popping up right at the top of the list every single time. See it? Joy and sadness. Over and over. That's not a coincidence, folks. That's hard evidence that we're all speaking a shared emotional language through music. Okay, so when we talk about emotions in music, how do we, well, talk about them? Researchers have a couple of ways. One way is with dimensions, broad scales like pleasant versus unpleasant or calm versus exciting. But the other way, using categories like anger or joy, is way more useful. And here's why. Think about anger and fear. On a dimensional scale, they're pretty similar, right? Both are high energy and not very pleasant, but they feel completely different. And the amazing thing is, we can hear that exact difference in music. That tells us our brains are processing these specific categories of emotion, not just some vague general vibe. And that, right there, brings us to the absolute heart of Dr. Jesslin's framework. If we're all hearing these specific emotional categories, then the big question is, how? How is music actually encoding that information? The answer, as you're about to see, is in this incredible, multi-layered system. Here's the big idea. It's not just one signal. The real power of music's emotional expression comes from the way 3 completely distinct layers of meaning all work together at the same time. And here they are, the 3 layers of the code: iconic coding, intrinsic coding, and associative coding. Now, those might sound a little academic, but trust me, the ideas behind them are super intuitive. Each one plays a crucial part in this whole process. All right, let's get into it. Let's take these one by one and really unpack what they mean and how they work. So first up is iconic coding, and honestly, this is the big one. This is the universal core, the aha moment. The reason we all hear sadness in a slow, low-pitched melody, it's because it sounds like a human voice when it's sad. And a fast, loud, short piece of music, it mimics an angry voice. This connection is literally hardwired into our brains from our evolutionary past. Being able to recognize emotion in any sound was a flat-out survival skill. Okay, layer number 2 is intrinsic coding. This is all about the music itself, its structure. The best way to think about it is like a good story. You know how a movie or a book builds up suspense and then bam, you get that satisfying resolution? Well, music does the exact same thing, but it uses melody and harmony to create that tension and release. It gives us feelings of anticipation, surprise, and finally completion. So this layer doesn't create the core emotion, but it totally shapes the journey of that emotion. And last but not least, we have associative coding. And this is where it all gets personal. This entire layer is built from your specific life experiences. It's the reason organ music might feel kind of solemn or spiritual to a lot of people. We just associate it with being in a church. Or, it's that one song that instantly makes you happy because it was playing at your prom or on a first date. This is the layer that makes your relationship with music completely and uniquely yours. So, what happens when you put all three of these layers together? What do you get? Well, you get a beautiful, complete picture of how music works its magic on us, explaining everything from the stuff we all understand instinctively to the things that are deeply, deeply personal. This visual really shows you how it all stacks up. Think of it like this. At the very bottom, at the core, you have that universal, iconic coding, the part that mimics the human voice that we all get. Then, on top of that, you layer the music's own internal story, the tension and release from the intrinsic coding. And then, finally, the whole thing gets filtered through the very personal lens of your own memories and your own culture. That's the associative layer, making it your own. And what's so brilliant about this whole model, as Dr. Jocelyn himself points out, is that it perfectly explains the great paradox of music. How can it be this universal language that connects every single one of us, but at the exact same time be the intensely personal soundtrack to our own individual lives? This is how. So, at the end of the day, music is just so much more than just notes on a page, isn't it? It's this complex, beautiful, multi-layered code. It speaks to our shared evolutionary past and to our unique personal stories, all at once. So the next time you put on your headphones or turn on the radio, listen a little differently. Ask yourself, what layers am I hearing right now?